Seems like weekly we discuss this. Georgia has had a football player arrested. This time, it is not a driving incident. I consider this one far more serious than a driving incident. Rara Thomas, the Mississippi State transfer that a lot of people think was going to contribute heavily to this Georgia passing attack, has now been arrested for a second time on family violence issues. He was arrested at 3:20 a.m. This morning. He is a Eufaula native. All of this coming from Dogs HQ, part of On3, who reported this first. It's about to be his second season at Georgia after transferring from Mississippi State. The charges are very serious sounding. I don't have any details, though. Second-degree cruelty to children is a felony. He is also charged with 2 counts of battery, both misdemeanors. This is made even more serious when you find out that this is the second time he has been arrested for this, less than a month after enrolling, so about a year ago. Thomas was arrested around the same time of day as they report for a misdemeanor count of family violence and felony account of false imprisonment.
Yeah, this is what really Kirby's going to get popped with. Because I didn't even realize that Rara was arrested in early 2023.
Charges were dismissed, to be entirely fair to him. They were dismissed.
They were. Yep. But now this will come back up. And if you're a Georgia fan, you're like, okay, somebody got arrested and it wasn't behind the wheel. And then you see this and you see second-degree cruelty to children. And I'm right there with you. I don't know the entire story. We're just seeing this kind of outline. But, man, I mean, it just doesn't stop with Georgia, does it?
It does not. I mean, it's just one after another. And I don't know what to make of it, really. I mean, you know, I see the reaction on social media as the story is broken this morning. Georgia's got a culture problem. Maybe they do. It just seems like, Lance... And we saw this at Alabama. Let's don't pretend like players at Alabama didn't get arrested.
Yeah, I don't think it was just. This reminds me more, and I don't want to compare Florida yet, because Florida had a mass murderer. I don't want to call him mass. Borderline serial killer in Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that he was that at Florida. He was certainly that in New England.
I mean, he notched more than one.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously the seeds were there at Florida. You would have to imagine.
You know what's crazy when you have a culture like this, and these are different scenarios, but from what you had with Urban Meyer in Florida, Art Briles in Waco, and what you've got right now in Athens, I mean, the correlation, not good off the field, but all of those programs win at a high level.
But it feels like once you start winning at a higher level, you see more of this. Like, I don't feel like I see this amount of stories on crappy teams. Is it just that there's more attention on Georgia because they're winning, or is there some direct proportion to sustained success and trouble off the field?
Well, a couple of things. Okay, so go back last year, Northwestern, about this time last year, Pat Fitzgerald was fired. It was a different scenario, hazing, but the culture supposedly wasn't good. And then David Braun takes over, and it's one of the more incredible stories that nobody talked about in the 2023 season.
Nobody paid attention.
I do think, and again, throwing all this together, Ollie Gordon getting arrested and then being taken to Big 12 Media Days in Las Vegas. And Mike Gundy basically saying, this guy, his punishment is going to be to play more. We're going to give him 40 carries. We live in a society now, in the culture of college football, where the athletes are really running the program.
They are.
Because I don't know what you can do. Like, if you suspend this, I mean, again, Thomas was arrested. You said all the charges were dropped in 2023. But still, that was something Georgia knew. So they bring him in from Mississippi State. Now, if Georgia was to release or to tell Rara, you know what, walk, or, hey, we're going to suspend you for 4 games, Rara could walk then, and I guarantee he'd find a landing spot.
Well, now, in his situation, the legal system may take care of this.
Well, you're right about that.
I don't know how all this is going to play out, but you're right. I mean.
And again, I don't want to call the guy guilty.
No.
But we do live in a society where you are now guilty until proven innocent because these stories come out. It's going to be a huge talking point. I can't even imagine sports talk this morning in the Atlanta area. Because you know Kirby, as much success as he's had and favored to win another national championship this year, he's getting crushed right now.
Yeah. I mean, it is just, like I said to Scott, doesn't it feel like it's every week we're doing this type of story?
Yeah, I had a buddy of mine in Denver that shout out Scott Banks that listens to the show, and he sent me one of these memes on Georgia drivers. And it's funny, but it's not funny. But it's become so common. And now the charges have gotten worse. Like, if you had last night, one of his players got a public intox citation, you'd be like, okay, well, at least he wasn't driving.
Yep. No, that's true. Yeah, he didn't get behind a wheel.
Yeah, but we're stepping up to felonious behavior.
Well, that was what Scott and I were talking about. Scott said, "Well, at least this time it's not a driving issue," and I was like, "I kind of wish it was." This one sounds a lot worse, right? This is a step up from a driving issue.
And I don't know what that is. I mean, is second-degree cruelty to a kid now? Is that getting out a belt? I really
have no clue.
Yeah. This is where we need to get Tommy Speen out of the sheets.
Tommy's asleep. He'll let us know. Second-degree cruelty to children, which is a felony. And 2 counts of battery, both misdemeanors. That's what Rara Thomas was arrested for.
So Bobby's saying Wimp warned us about this. I remember Wimp saying this is a bad idea to actually pay players. And I remember him talking about the chaos of roster management. Right. I don't remember. And Wimp could have said this. Remind me, did he?
Oh, I'm sure Wimp was against it. Wimp's old
I know he was
school
against
enough.
it, but I'm just saying, did he say...
Well, chaos of roster management, not that it's going to lead to more arrests, I don't think is what Wimp was saying. I just think the chaos of roster management, which is what you just brought up, is, if you get a player in trouble and you say, listen, it's my way or that. Who was, I think it was Jay Billis, that said, it might have been a coach, I can't remember, that said, used to a coach could say it's my way or the highway because the highway didn't really exist. It was only in theory, right?
Right, yeah.
Now the highway exists. It's my way or the highway, and I can get on the highway at any time I want, and there's no traffic.
Yeah, and you and I agree, and I think most of us have agreed. Look, compensate the players, that's great. But what I don't like, I like guys that are able to rule with an iron fist, like Kirby and Nick Saban, and they make the program their own, and they have success, not only because of that, but because they're able to go out and get this great talent. But if you're able to go out and get the great talent and let them run wild, that is a massive problem.
It is.
It changes the whole dynamic of college football.
Yep. And it's clearly a problem at Georgia. I mean, you call it a culture problem or whatever, I don't know. But I see more stories about Georgia players getting arrested than any other school in America. Is it because they're under a bigger microscope, because they win all the time? I do not know. But I see it about more about them than any school in America. Yeah. And we do this every single day. And we keep up with this kind of thing. And I don't think anybody can deny that. Even if you're the most ardent Georgia fan, you have to admit, at least it gets reported about your school more than any other school in America. Whether your school leads an arrest or not, I don't know. Your school's in the news more tan anybody else for getting players arrested.
Look, and the sad truth is you would rather go 15-0 and have a bunch of guys arrested than go 8-4 and have nobody arrested. I mean, would you agree? Like, Georgia fans are sitting out there right now, and you would rather have squeaky clean program and go 15-0.
Sure, everybody wants that.
But if you had the option of you can be 8-4 and nobody's going to ever get arrested, or you can be 15-0 and it's the Wild West, I think the majority of fans would take the Wild West.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that. I mean, most people just want to win. That's really all they want, is they want to win.
I just want guys buying in. Sure, they're getting paid, but do it the right way. And what I don't think they're realizing is, well, talent's going to outweigh everything outside of Trevor Bauer, but these guys cost themselves money at the next level. Like, you're really not in charge at the next level. Like,
like when you're an NFL coach? Yeah. Oh, no.
No, I'm talking about when you're an NFL player.
Oh, if you're an
like
NFL
you're
player.
Under contract,
yeah.
and these guys will release you.
Yeah. But that's the one place where the player, I mean, if it comes down to quarterback or coach, they're almost always going to go quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a lot of times where the player is on level footing with the coach, which it never felt like in college.